Welcome back, everyone, to our X4 Foundations content here at Pit Gaming. So we're back in our fresh start for version 2.00, and we are now about 12 and a half hours into this particular gameplay. And the reason it's taken so much time is, number one, we needed quite a bit of money to purchase the blueprints that we're going to need to get started building our own ships. And then also it took a little bit longer because I just can't seem to help myself building at least a few stations along the way. I was really trying hard not to build a whole bunch of stations because naturally those stations in the long run can make you quite a bit of money, but in the near term they cost quite a bit up front in startup costs. So I was trying to refrain from that, but I just couldn't help myself to some extent on that. So now we have a couple of factories that are up and running. One just for fun, and another one that I believe is going to be a firm necessity as the gameplay continues. So now we have a little bit of money. You might notice in the bottom left-hand corner, we have about 176 million credits right now. So with that money, I want to first begin by buying some blueprints. Yes, there are other ways that we could obtain blueprints that certainly wouldn't cost any money, but particularly the first time through doing this procedure, I didn't want to do it that way. I wanted to purchase everything that I needed, so that's what we're about to do. We're at least going to get started on that process. So we're here in the Argonne shipyard, which is where the Argonne faction representative is based. Now I'm going to be making all of my purchases, at least for now, through the Argonne Federation. The reason I'm doing that is simply because that's where I happen to be right now. I know everyone has their own favorite ships from different factions that they prefer. Some have better stats than others, all that kind of thing. But for me, I'm going to stick with Argonne here at the very beginning. And then I'll go around and I'll purchase some blueprints from the different races as time moves on. But for right now, let's go ahead and get started by talking to a representative. And we tell her that we want to buy some blueprints, and of course we've got our three options here: modules, ships, and equipment. So we want to start with modules, and then we'll move on to the ships. And let's see, let's scroll on down. Now at this particular point in time, I really have no interest in the large ships, either in gameplay or building them, but who knows, we'll see how this whole thing goes. And I'll determine long term if I'll even want to get into large or extra large ship building. But for now, the one I'm really interested in is the small or medium ship Fabrication Bay. We're going to put that under select, and suddenly what started out as 177 million is now 60 million. So we still have quite a bit, but we're going to be spending a good portion of this on some blueprints. Now, for right now, I'm not going to get the maintenance bay because I don't think we need that right now. I guess time will tell. And let's see, extra large, large. Yep, that's really all I see that we might need from here right now. Let's go ahead and confirm that. And they just made quite a bit of money off of us. Go ahead and click on her again. And this time we need the ship blueprints. Now what I want to do here is I want to purchase some blueprints for a few small ships and then maybe a few medium ships. Again, I still at this point don't know how this is going to work out. Will the AI be buying ships from me? I mean, they have their own faction shipyards and wharfs, so I have no idea. That's part of the fun of it, is I haven't gotten far enough into the game, so it's still very new with this recent 2.0 update. So we're going to start out with maybe some S ships. Let's find the Courier Vanguard, maybe. That should be right here. And hopefully, let's see, 1.8. Okay, we'll select that one. Not bad. I like to use that as a transporter, particularly early game and for smaller projects. The Eclipse Vanguard. Let's see where it might be. Eclipse Vanguard. There we go. So 2 million credits there. Our money is going to quickly evaporate. And then finally, the Nova Vanguard. Not one that I use very much, but this is sort of in the hopes that the AI might have something to purchase from me on the small side. Okay, what else might we want? There is a miner, a courier, let's see, courier mineral. There we go. Let's go ahead and get that one as well. It's only 1 million credits. It's a beautiful thing to be able to say only 1 million. All right, so that's going to give us 4, and I think is going to give us enough for a good start. We got a couple of fighters. We have a small transporter, as well as a small miner, introductory miner. So that's 6.5 million credits there. Now let me grab my list of medium-sized ships that I would like to have. Let's start with the Mercury Vanguard. Mercury Vanguard is my preferred transport vessel from Argon, although certainly not the only one. Let's see, Drill Vanguard, and there it is. Wow, so not very much for our miner. Okay, no big deal there. Let's find the Sunder Vanguard, which is our gas miner. Take care of that. And then finally the Cerberus, which I am not terribly fond of, but again, if we are to have some AI business, I feel like they might purchase a few of these. All right, so that's 23.5 million credits, leaving us with 39.8 million. So I believe we're in good shape there. We've got, I believe, 4 of each, 4 small, 4 medium, and wow, that is massive. Let's go ahead and confirm that. And there we go. So we've taken care of what we need as far as blueprints. We now have the module that we need. Let's get started with some building. Welcome back, everyone. Now, a little bit of time has passed since we were just here talking to our faction representative and purchasing some blueprints for our small and medium-sized ships that we want to build. And you might be thinking, okay, so we're done with blueprints. We've purchased our fabrication bay. We now have some ship blueprints. We're good to go. Well, not quite. We still have a lot of purchasing of blueprints to go. Where I left off last time is that gave us enough blueprints to actually start building our station. So let's take a look at where things are currently. Of course, right now we are sitting outside of the Argon shipyard. We'll come over to Hatikva's Choice number 1. And by the way, you can see just how zoomed out this sector is. I have no idea what I did to cause that, but I'm sure I did something along the way to cause that aggravation. But right over here, I decided to put it in the vicinity of a couple of other factories that I've got. Here's your trading station right over here. And so we're going to put it right here. Again, no big deal. I don't have a certain preference, but I'll keep it nearby just for the ease of keeping all our stuff in close vicinity. So we'll click on this and we'll come in under Plan Build. And this thing is going to take quite a while to build. Now you might expect that. I was certainly expecting that it was going to be expensive to build because, hey, this is in-game type stuff. It costs a lot of money for blueprints and it costs a lot of money to build as well. So first of all, you can see a very, very basic layout. We've got our fabrication bay here, and you can see it's going to look very similar to the ones we've seen before. You're going to be able to fly in on either side. You're going to have your small ships on the top, and then along the bottom, you're going to have, I believe it's 8 bays down there for the medium-sized ships. But it is going to take a lot of materials. So right now you see we're 25% done, and this has been going on for a little while, at least probably 45 minutes to an hour. And the reason is not so much the Claytronics or the energy cells, but the whole parts. You can see down here in our available resources in the build storage, Claytronics, we're doing great. We have more than what we need to complete the fabrication bay, and basically enough to complete most, if not all, of the rest of these. Same thing with energy cells. We've got a lot of these currently, but then you get to hull parts. Hull parts are a little bit harder to come by because we needed, by default, we needed over 12,000 of these in order to get started. We're down to only 9,000 that we need now. And then you notice under where reservations, we have a lot going on here, a lot of reservations. And you notice that some of these are colored for the Nipit Gaming. And the reason for that is I decided very quickly that while sure, we can wait for the AI to come by, and in this case, you can see we've got some large vessels that are coming by to drop off some hull parts. I didn't want to wait for the AI to take care of this, because what I've seen throughout this playthrough to get to this stage in the game is the economy still, I don't think, is any better than it has been in previous versions of the game. The AI still fall apart. There is only one wharf right now in the game, and probably the same with shipyards, but only one wharf right now in the game where I can even get ships built. As much as I would like to jump over and get some ships from some other factions, can't do it right now because they're too far behind on parts that they need. They got too many ships under construction, and everything is just bogged down because they don't have enough parts. So the Argonne shipyard or the Argonne wharf is the only place I can get anything built, and part of that is because I'm babysitting that particular wharf along the way to make sure that I can get what I need. So what I've had to do is basically construct a small fleet of traders to try and get our hull parts that we need for constructions. If we come back out of this, we're actually going to back out, but not before we confirm. There we go. And let's take a look at our fleet. I've tried to put these guys at the very top, so the naming convention will keep them up there, because at some point I will actually take these off of the construction project and probably assign them to a station or some sort of a station mule configuration at some point in the future. But for right now, we have 5 of these guys, and actually there is, let's see, 1, 2, yes, just 5 of them. I had one extra one that actually did not have the 3 stars required for auto trade. So I'm having to take care of his orders manually. Luckily, it's not too terribly much of a deal, but we have 5 guys right now that are doing nothing more than scouring the universe, looking for hull parts factories that have some available, purchasing those and bringing them back so that we can get our shipyard built. So it doesn't bode well for the future if I'm going to wait on the AI to produce the products I'm going to need. So while that's ongoing, again, let's take one more quick look at what's currently going on. Now you can see here, there's only 3 minutes remaining. That is because I do have a mod installed that will reduce the amount of build time that each module takes. That's going to save me a lot of time along the way during this testing, and I greatly appreciate that mod. So 3 minutes remaining on that, and then these others will go very quickly, since by that point we're already going to have everything we need for the most part in build storage. So all of that is good to go. We've got plenty of room for expansion that I think we're going to need going forward. So as we come back out, what's our next step? Okay, once we get our fabrication bay done and we've got our blueprints for the small and medium ships, what do we need to do next? Well, the things we need to do next are all the other parts and pieces that go on those ships. And for that, let's come back into our faction representative, ask her to buy a blueprint. And now we're done with modules, at least for now. We're done with ships for now. Now we need to go under equipment. Now we need to look at all of the things that are a part of a ship. And these are all of the things that you have to configure. You have to configure your engines, your weapons, if they're available on that particular model of ship. Of course, we've got our turrets, you've got shield generators, thrusters, you name it. All of this stuff is going to be needed, and that means any of this that we want to build, we're going to have to buy blueprints for. As an example, we're going to stick with, we're not going to mess with the large engines right now, but if you look under the medium, of course, you've got your combat, your all-around, and then you're going to have your travel. Well, look at how much each of these cost. You've got, not bad for an all-around Mark 1, 130,000. Mark II, 646, and then finally 3.1 million for the Mark III. And of course, each one of these different engine types has its own pricing, but you can see the structure that we have. And then of course, we get down to the smaller ships and the same thing. You start with a Mark I, only 61,400 credits. So not bad at all. But as you step up, it's going to cost you more and more, and that's just the engines. So what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to save up a little bit of money so that we can come in here and take care of as many of these as possible at one time, so we can get busy doing some building and then finding out if and when the AI are actually going to use our facilities. So with that in mind, we're going to leave it here for now, and then we'll be back a little bit later on once we're ready to do some more purchasing. All right, construction is at least nearing completion on our factory. Let's come in and pull that up one more time and show you guys. We're now at 75%. We're waiting on 3,000 hull parts, and you can see we have 2,100 here, and we have some more that are on their way over the next several minutes. So that'll be done here shortly. And in fact, in our next video, we'll focus on the fact that now that we have a functional fabrication bay for small and medium ships, I'll give you guys an update as to how it's going. How many ships have we built? Have the AI used our facility? And so on. But for now, to go ahead and end our video today, I want to come back to our faction representative and purchase at least as many blueprints as we can for equipment. We'll start out at the very top and just work our way down. We'll start with the weapons, and I want to stick with, again, the small and medium ships. So I'm going to go the medium beam emitter Mark 1 and Mark 2. And for now, let's see, I really want that bolt repeater. I tell you what, we'll go ahead and get it as well. Those are the medium size. Of course, we need the mining drill. These, fortunately, don't cost all that much. About 1 million credits combined for those. We'll go ahead and get the pulse laser, since that is more of a introductory weapon, a starter type weapon that shows up on these ships. And I think that's going to do it for now. I'm going to stay away from the torpedo launchers simply because of the cost for right now. And again, we'll probably end up getting most all of this by the time it's all said and done, but just to get us started. Now let's get into the small ships, and once again, beam emitter Mark 1 and 2. Let's go bolt repeater Mark 1 and 2. Mining drill 1 and 2. Pulse laser 1 and 2, and that should be it for those. So that's 11.5 million credits there. Let's go ahead and minimize that, and let's go look at turrets. So once again, we're going to skip by the large turrets. Let's go the medium beam turret. Let's go bolt turret. Again, these aren't terribly expensive. We're only getting the Mark 1 versions of these, the Pulse Mark 1, and we'll make that all we do there. We're now up to 12.5 million credits. And let's see what we get under shield generators. Let's go ahead and get Mark 1 and 2 for the medium-sized shield. And we'll do the same thing for the small shield. Actually, there's a Mark 3 for the small shield. We'll go ahead and get that as well. And again, large and extra large we will leave alone. We're now up over 14 million credits. But we've been through weapons, turrets, and shield generators, so not bad. Here's where we're going to start to spend some money when we get to the engines. So engines, obviously we're going to need the all-around engines. And for right now, I'm going to skip the Mark III. And let's go ahead and get the all-around, the combat, and the travel engines, the Mark 1 and 2 versions of that. And again, you can see just how expensive 3.8, 3.1, 3.7 million for some of these engines. So we're going to now go to the small engines. And once again, Mark 1 and 2 for the all-around combat and the travel engine. There we go. So now we're at basically 18 million credits. Wow. Okay, engines. Now we go to thrusters. And we're going to go medium thrusters, Mark 1 and 2. Again, staying away from the Mark 3 for now. At least until we got a little bit more money. And we'll be back to give Argonne some more of our money. In case you're wondering, and you haven't gotten this far in your own playthrough, or you've acquired these by some other means, from what I've seen, regardless of the faction you go to, the prices are either identical or so close to it that I didn't even notice the difference. So it really doesn't matter so much where you purchase these, unless you have a favorite faction that you want to get their specific equipment on some of this stuff, such as the ship types. Okay, I think we're good here. We've got Mark 1 and 2 for combat all around on the small ships. Okay, I think we're good there. We're up to 21.2 million. And we're going to skip by the missiles right now, since we skipped by the missile launchers a little bit earlier. Drones, yeah, let's go ahead and get the drones. They're not terribly expensive. So we'll do building drone. Actually, let's don't do building drone, because we're not doing the large or extra large ships. So defense drone, gas collector, mining, and then repair. We'll go ahead and do those. Okay, 21.8. Consumables. We'll go ahead and get the ability to make the satellites, navigational beacons, resource probes. Those are huge. And while we're in here, because they're not terribly expensive, let's go ahead and get the mines as well. Okay, now 23.8 million. And we're down to countermeasures, which is easy enough. 24,000 credits for some flares. All right, so that gets us at 23.8 million. We still got 24 million left in the bank, and while I don't necessarily want to use all of that, I do want to come back in and let's grab a couple of these engines. Let's grab the Mark III engine. For those, now we're down to 13 million left in the bank account, as we're about to spend 34.5 million credits. So let's go ahead and confirm that. And wow, we have spent quite a bit of money over the course of the last couple of videos. But that's going to do it for today. When we come back next time, as I mentioned earlier, we'll be looking at a finished small and medium ship Fabrication Bay, and I'll let you guys know how it's going. So that's going to do it for today. Thank you very much for joining me, and stay tuned for more X4 Foundations.